The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine. I'll be your webinar facilitator today. I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for the Help Your Techs Drive Revenue with ServiceTitan webinar. As a brief reminder, all lines are currently on mute to prevent background noise. If you have questions during the presentation, go ahead and type them into your chat box. We'll be happy to answer at the end of the webinar. This afternoon, it's my pleasure to welcome Jared Price, Serena Bosch, and Nick Turner with ServiceTitan. Jared, you may now begin the webinar. Or Serena.
Yep, I got it. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Serena Bosch, and I'm a product marketing manager here at ServiceTitan. Today's webinar is geared towards Daikin Comfort Pro and 3D dealers who are not yet using ServiceTitan to manage their businesses. That said, we know there are often a few current customers on the line today, so we want to thank you for being a part of the ServiceTitan community, and feel free to hang around. So with that, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, How Technology Can Help Your Techs Drive Revenue. And today, I'm joined by Jared Price. Jared, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Jared Price, and I'm a field product expert here at ServiceTitan.
And Jared, can you tell the folks at home a little bit about what being a field product expert at ServiceTitan means?
Sure. I educate brand alliances on operational best practices and how to better serve their dealer networks. That means I deliver a white glove service for Daikin dealers, communicating the latest technology and helping them solve business leaders' most common challenges.
Great. And at this point, how many shops have you helped since joining ServiceTitan?
I'm over 50 and counting at this point.
Awesome. Okay, and before ServiceTitan, you were general manager at a Daikin shop, is that right?
That's correct. My last two positions were at DCP dealers. The first one I was in sales, and the second one I was the general manager.
Well, we're very happy that you've landed here at ServiceTitan, and thank you so much for joining me today. During today's webinar, I'd like to get your perspective on the challenges you've seen technicians face on the job. We're also going to talk about how ServiceTitan, a modern cloud-based field management software, can help your technicians generate more revenue for your business. I'd like you to walk me through a standard field service job with and without ServiceTitan. But before that, I'm going to share some key statistics about how mobile technology can help your techs exceed the high expectations of today's modern homeowner. So let's get started. Speaking of the modern homeowner, who are they and what do they want? Currently, a third of all homes are sold to millennials, adults aged 23 to 37. Compared to 75 million baby boomers, there are 83 million millennials whose spending power will double over the next 10 years. And on top of that, 66% of millennials plan to buy their first home in the next 5 years. So what do these millennials want? Even though millennials check their phone between 150 and 2,617 times per day, they're not using it to make phone calls. When polled, many millennials revealed that they think phone calls are an imposition on their time, with 64% preferring communication via text messages. So, why does this matter? Well, to understand how technology can really bring value to your business, and more importantly, bring value to your technicians' day-to-day operations, you need to understand what expectations other service companies are setting. So what are the expectations of the modern homeowner? As early adopters of technology, millennials have been conditioned by apps like Uber and Grubhub to expect frequent text communication and updates from service companies about the status of their order or booking. In fact, 66% of all millennials want an Uber-like experience from their service provider. And while these stats are specific to millennials, the expectations are becoming more and more universal regardless of demographics. Currently, 80% of the adult population in the United States owns a smartphone. And guess what? They're all downloading and ordering from on-demand service apps like the ones I just mentioned. And so this begs the question, why is it that your customers can track and pay for a $10 pizza online, but they can't do the same for their $10,000 HVAC system? Here at ServiceTitan, we conducted a study with an independent data company, Thrive Analytics, to learn how the home services are adapting to the technological needs of their customer base. And here's what we found. Over half of home service business owners still rely on manual processes such as pen and paper to track their customer jobs and information. And while 30% say they're looking to invest in operations in the near future, only 19% say that new software or technology is part of their plan to do that. In fact, only about a third of home service businesses currently use cloud-based services to help operate their business. So why should you care? If your business is running fine without this kind of technology, why do you have to change? As long as the work gets done and it gets done right, that's enough, right? Well, not quite. In that same study from Thrive Analytics, we discovered that 40% of home service businesses using cloud technology have experienced growth in their business since implementing software. In addition to that, 70% of businesses using ServiceTitan reported growth since implementing our solution. Okay, so what does this mean for you? If you want to scale and grow your home service business, you need to adopt technology to exceed the expectations of your customers and, more importantly, contend with your competitors. In fact, 30% of homeowners reported that they would abandon a service provider they rated as satisfactory for a competitor who provided a more convenient solution.
Serena, those are some very interesting stats. Yeah, it's really true. You don't want to lose one of your customers to a perk one of your competitors are offering. You might do work better than them, but because they can text the customer that they're on the way, the customer ends up choosing them. I'm sure everyone on the call can relate to sending your tech to a job, finding out there's already been 4 trucks there.
What do you mean by that, Jared?
Well, Serena, a lot of customers will call a bunch of companies, see who shows up, get a quote from everyone, and then make a decision later. If your company is one of the ones who shows up, provides a detailed estimate, and emails it to the customer, you've got a better shot at winning as compared to the guy who shows up late because they couldn't find the address and provides a sloppy handwritten estimate probably on the back of his business card.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, Jared, I think now's the perfect time to hand the webinar over to you. Don't you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Not only does modern cloud-based software provide your customers with the service experience they want, it empowers your technicians to be more efficient at their jobs and drive more revenue for your business. And to demonstrate that, Jared is going to walk you through all the different ways ServiceTitan can help your technicians optimize efficiency and drive revenue for businesses like yours. Jared, take it away.
Thanks, Serena. Before we explore the technician experience, I'd like to take a quick step back and provide context on the tools in ServiceTitan that can help power your business. So, ServiceTitan is a mobile cloud-based software platform that helps some home service companies streamline operations, improve customer service, and grow their business. ServiceTitan's end-to-end solution includes call tracking, scheduling, dispatch, mobile invoicing, membership tracking, inventory, installations, payroll, and accounting integrations with Sage as well as QuickBooks and many more items that we'll cover. ServiceTitan brings a fully operational modern infrastructure to an industry traditionally underserved by software, which is why it's preferred software for thousands of the world's most successful plumbing, HVAC, and electrical companies. So now that we have a little bit of context, let's start at step 1, arriving at the service address. I'll share this with a perspective of a former technician of mine. I'm going to call him Joe for this conversation. So before technology, technicians like Joe would go in blind. The homeowner provides the CSR with their address, which doesn't get validated as a real address. So Joe gets sent out to this job and tries to find the address, which may or may not be accurate in the first place. He might also be using an outdated Garmin. Once he successfully locates the service address, he needs to call the office to get the detailed job history of the service address. This way, he doesn't start talking negatively about what work that our company actually did the year before or just a few days before. After he understands the job history, Joe rings the doorbell or knocks on the door and waits for someone to answer, which may or not even happen because the homeowner may have forgotten the appointment, which happens a lot because we forget to confirm the appointments with a telephone call. Once someone answers the door, which is a blessing itself, Joe has to give them a business card so the homeowner can verify their identity. Once Joe gets in the home, hopefully avoiding getting bitten by the dog, he can start doing his job.
So, Jared, for Joe as a technician without technology like ServiceTitan, there's really a lot of things that have to go right before he can even enter the home. Am I understanding that right?
Absolutely. Those are a lot of the factors that could prevent him from even stepping into the home and taking a look at the customer's problem. But if technicians like Joe are equipped with ServiceTitan, he'll have a lot of tools at his disposal to make that process much easier. So when the customer calls in, the office validates they have received a real address so the tech isn't sent to 123 Fake Street. He'll have GPS built into his mobile device that will take him straight to the service address. When he arrives, there's a picture of the house to help confirm the location. He'll know whether they have an aggressive dog, and he'll have a gate code if necessary. He'll have job history and other crucial customer information right at his fingertips through ServiceTitan's sleek mobile app. And Joe can even listen to a recording of the initial call the customer made to the office. All this helps Joe recognize and increase the customer's loyalty and ensure that he doesn't sell them something that doesn't align with their service history. He also doesn't have to tie up the phones in the busy months of the summer calling the office to get this information. That makes the job for Joe much easier. But what about the customer experience? Well, the homeowner receives real-time alerts about Joe's ETA via text message and can even track his arrival on the smartphone, just like Uber or Lyft. The homeowner will get a text message with Joe's picture and a bio prior to his arrival so they know who he is and what he looks like before he even arrives. They can be a little more comfortable with a stranger showing up at the door.
And hopefully this also gives them ample time to lock up any territorial pets too, right?
Exactly. So now we can move into step 2, diagnosing the problem and providing a solution. So again, before technology, Joe has the customer show him the issue. After taking a look at the problem, Joe probably scribbles down some notes for himself on paper, then excuses himself, assuring the customer he'll be right back, so he can go back to his truck and compose a handwritten estimate. Once he creates the estimate with his chicken scratch in his truck, which hopefully quotes the job at the price his boss wants him to charge, he goes back to the home and presents the customer with a cost, which could range anywhere from a couple $100s to a couple $1,000.
And how do customers typically respond to receiving a handwritten estimate for hundreds or thousands of dollars?
A lot of times, not all that well. There's a general perception that anything handwritten is made up on the spot, and a lot of times that's true. Joe might also reference a printed price book where he's crossed out one number and jotted in another number, so now it's not really believable that that's the price the customer should be paying either.
And so, I mean, I would imagine customers push back on this sometime, and so how would a technician try to get around that?
Yeah, I've heard some of the more severe cases from technicians like Joe. There are times that Joe needed to physically bring the homeowner to show them what was going on with the unit. So it might be raining out, and the homeowner is an 85-year-old woman, and there's a problem maybe at the condenser. If Joe can explain to her exactly what's happening, he needs to get an umbrella, walk the poor little lady out in her yard, and show her the problem. And let's not even get into what it looks like if Joe needs to take her into the crawl space or under the house into the attic.
Yeah, I don't imagine that going over too well.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes he would be able to get them to come take a look with him, which typically increases their stress level. Other times he basically is asking them to take his word for it.
So how does ServiceTitan help here?
Sure. For a technician equipped with ServiceTitan's mobile app, it becomes much easier to gain credibility with the customer. So the technician can mark up pre-populated digital forms with his findings. So now Joe has a professional way to demonstrate the problems and solutions he's recommending. He can take a picture of the unit and mark up what's wrong right on the picture, so he can better explain the problem to the customer. So for the older woman with a broken condenser, Joe can take a picture of the condenser, show her the rat's nest, and show it on the tablet or kitchen table so she doesn't have to get the umbrella and go out in the rain. Again, it really goes a long way in establishing this credibility and trust by using pictures of their own equipment. He can also show all of his readings and measurements as well. But his favorite part was having the ability to show the homeowner a nice, sleek, online digital estimate from his price book. So he's with the customer, browsing the available options. He adds it and a price shows up. There's no time for him to be subjective and change his price, which keeps the homeowner from second guessing him on that. It's like when you're shopping online. You know that the price you see is the price, no questions asked. And as a bonus, while Joe would focus immediately on the issues he was called in for, he's also able to create opportunities for upsell more organically by coming prepared with a digital checklist that he could run through with a homeowner to see if there's any additional needs in the house.
Well, that sounds like a great experience for the homeowner. Would you say that presenting estimates in a sleek mobile format helps technicians actually sell more?
Oh, absolutely it does. It makes the whole process look more professional, and it makes the sales discussion easier. The other piece here is that there's no more paperwork to keep track of. The days can get pretty busy, and as much as Joe would try to stay up on his paperwork, something would always get lost, which I hated to hear as a general manager. Having everything within ServiceTitan means that technicians don't have to worry about paperwork at all anymore.
That sounds really helpful. Okay, so what's next?
The next step is getting the customer to approve the work. So again, I'll go back before technology, and the customer agreed to do the work on the spot, which is awesome. A couple of things would have to happen. Most likely, Joe's initial written estimate wasn't written up formally, so he would have to write up an actual estimate using legal verbiage, then create a proper carbon copy for the customer, again, using his best handwriting. He would collect signatures and put the signed invoices back in the truck, and once again, hope that his truck doesn't eat it. If the customer isn't ready to agree to the work, he would leave the paperwork at the house, which a lot of times means he will never hear back from that customer.
Why would you never hear from the customer again after leaving paperwork?
So in that situation like that, a lot of customers, when they're making a buying decision on the spot, if they don't make the buying decision on the spot, it kind of drifts away from them. So like anything, if you have to strike while the iron is hot, this is an example. As a homeowner, if I have 6 handwritten estimates or even just one, and I can't make sense of what the problem was, what the solution is, or even what it costs, it becomes very difficult for me as a homeowner to decide that I want to give you my money.
Okay, so let's be optimistic and say that the customer is ready to have Joe do the job.
Great. If the customer is ready to pay for the work, they'll have one to pay by credit card or check for smaller jobs. If they pay by check, Joe has to carry that check around all day, and we already talked about his track record of losing paperwork. Not something anyone wants to happen with a check. If he manages to keep track of the check the whole day, he has to take time to run back to the office at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, which is kind of a waste of time and money spent on gas. I know from my friends in accounting, this process also usually slows them down as well. If they choose to pay using your credit card, Joe has to call the credit card number into the office, which is far from secure. And aside from that, it also takes a lot of time. The homeowner is usually standing at the technician's side waiting for their credit card back. It's just a bad experience when you consider that most of the purchase the homeowner made earlier that day probably occurred through Apple Pay or some sort of secure site on a mobile app. And to go from that mobile experience to standing next to a guy reading out your credit card number over the phone, that's a little embarrassing and, again, not exactly secure.
Yeah, I would say it doesn't sound good. So I'm afraid to ask, but what happens if it's an expensive job that they can't pay for with credit card or check?
If it's an expensive job and shop owners get really upset about this, Joe would usually just give them the lowest price option to avoid having to deal with the paperwork needed to complete a financing option.
Why wouldn't he just do the paperwork to get them approved for financing and then, hopefully get a bigger ticket, a bigger sale?
Paperwork. Well, everyone starts out trying to do financing paperwork, but after a few minor mistakes, the tech gets chewed out by accounting for messing something up. They didn't get the correct invoice number, they missed a signature, or they just put the wrong address down, and after a while, they get so frustrated at the point that they just say, forget it, I'll just give them something they can actually pay out of pocket for. Now they're not offering financing, which is going to have a huge impact on your average ticket as well as your closing rate.
And so how does technology help you out with these challenges?
Sure, great question. So first off, they can collect signatures right on the tablet. And there are 2 signatures that are very important. 1, yes, you can do the work. And number 2, yes, you've done the work properly. Without both of these, you're in a bit of legal hot water. As a technician, if they don't provide customer signatures, they can't prove the customer agreed to pay for anything. All it takes is having to go to court for one theft of services claim, and you make sure you never lose a signature again. You can also accept mobile payments through credit cards or check, just like in your personal checking account on your phone. You can snap a picture of a check and deposit your money on the tablet in the field. We all know trucks like to eat checks, so does Purple Primer. So if you can get the money immediately deposited and not worry about the technician bringing it back to the office, it's a big win for everyone. And finally, with the financing, digital forms are preloaded on their tablets, which is a time saver, so you don't have to worry about checking all the right boxes. It can be built into the app, so as a part of the estimate presentation process, the customer can sign up and apply for financing right on the spot, get approved, use that credit to pay for the work all within a matter of minutes instead of multiple trips and a bunch of headaches. This enables the tech to present a customer with all their options and to help guide them to the best recommendation, usually increasing the ticket size substantially.
And so again, can you explain a bit more why techs wouldn't present all of the customer's options without technology?
Well, technology aside, my experience is a lot of technicians generally feel bad about creating big tickets for large dollar amounts. But at the end of the day, we are the experts in terms of what can be done in the home. The customer doesn't know what they don't know. So if your tech doesn't give them all the available options, you're doing them a disservice and may not be providing them with the best possible solution to their problem. We should be making financial judgments for our customers, plain and simple. But instead, we should tell them exactly what we can and can't do. You know, maybe their daughter has asthma and you don't know that air purification is more important to them. If you don't offer them the best air purification that's possible, they don't even know it exists. And now no one's really winning. Okay, so now you layer in on top of a technician's personal feelings about financing, the clunky and painful process of applying for financing by hand, and it's just demotivating to take the sales to the next level. That's why having pre-made estimate templates and add-ons already configured in ServiceTitan removes that friction from the tech and advances the sales conversation in a non-salesy way to make it easier to close the deal.
And so this is where the Daikin feature package becomes really important, right?
Exactly, and I get extremely excited about the Daikin feature package being a former DCP dealer. The Daikin feature package really elevates this experience for Daikin dealers. All of you on the line will have access to vivid product photos and specs, which you can easily plug into Daikin's best practice estimate, all within ServiceTitan. This content combined with Daikin's matchup guide gives business owners the ability to arm techs with the content and strategy needed to guide the customers to the right solution and ultimately to bigger tickets.
That's really exciting. I would imagine the sales experience improves for both the technician and the homeowner when you're able to display this content when speaking with customers.
Definitely. While homeowners feel like they know everything about their homes, when it comes to HVAC repairs and upgrades, they often don't have a lot of experience, given that these pieces of equipment should last for years. And so the homeowners that are really shopping are thinking about them regularly. So when your tech can make Daikin equipment come to life for the customer, visually showing them the difference between their options, it empowers their decision-making and also helps them close the deal.
Well, it seems like a no-brainer when you put it that way. Okay, so what's your buddy Joe doing next?
Sure. So now it's time to do the work. If Joe sells something to the customer, the office has no idea before technology. Sorry, back up a little bit. He would have to call the office to let them know how long he'd be at the job. And he has no idea what his schedule looks like. There may be something also planned for him, which can cause some serious disruptions in the office with rescheduling and letting clients know of technician may be late. That's assuming he remembers to call the office to update them. And finally, after all that's squared away, Joe can actually do his job. But with ServiceTitan, his estimate converts into an invoice so he doesn't have to duplicate the work. The office gets an automatic notification that Joe sold something and how long he'll be on the site. And ServiceTitan's mobile app prompts him to finish forms, collect signatures from the customer, and do everything else that technicians sometimes forget.
Yeah, it sounds like ServiceTitan can really help technicians be more efficient at their job.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Serena. Having mobile technology like ServiceTitan allows technicians to present customers with best options without them having to be too salesy. It also helps them promote memberships, which helps keep the shop afloat during the slower months.
Can you tell me about how ServiceTitan helps with that too?
Sure. One of the simple ways we make it easier to offer memberships is by showing a customer the discount they would receive if they were a member. So let's say you have a repair for $1,100. Right next to that price, ServiceTitan will show a discounted membership price of $975, which most time prompts the customer to ask, hey, how can I get that discount? In addition to that, we keep track of all these precious memberships in the office so none of them fall through the cracks.
Okay, final question for you, Jared. How much time do you think technology like ServiceTitan can save technicians in the field?
It's a great question. I've seen as much as 25%, and I can imagine that for some shops it would be even more than that. So this translates to an employee being able to get off the clock earlier and go home, spend time with his family, or even during the busy months, he probably can squeeze in one more call per day.
Awesome. Well, thanks for breaking that down, Jared. I think the difference technology can make during these service calls is obviously pretty significant. We expect technology to create conveniences in all areas of our lives, so why shouldn't we let it do the work for home services too? When you combine the convenience factor with the tools you can use to more efficiently grow your business, it really becomes a no-brainer. So now, shifting gears a little bit, I think it would be helpful for everyone on the line if we take a little bit more time to explore the Daikin feature package. Would you mind walking us through that?
Absolutely. So the Daikin feature package was built to help Daikin dealers save time, increase upsell, and to help stay up to date with all things Daikin. Daikin feature and package includes the following: vivid Daikin product images and specs for easy upload into your price book. Next, we have a best practices estimate template aligned with Daikin's matchup guide, and access to the latest Daikin news and product updates. Last, coming soon, we also be making product brochures and product videos available within ServiceTitan, which we're very excited about.
Great. Well, we hope all of you on the line enjoyed learning about the Daikin feature package and how ServiceTitan can help your technicians meet the expectations of the modern day homeowner, and also, of course, help your business increase efficiency and drive more revenue. So remember that stat we said at the beginning of the presentation? 70% of all ServiceTitan users have experienced growth since implementing our software. If you want to join them, request a demo by emailing Jared, jprice@servicetitan.com, or you can give him a call at the number listed here as well. I'd like to thank you again for joining me today, Jared.
Oh, thank you, Serena.
Okay, great.
All right, with that, Catherine, looks like we have time for Q&A.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Serena and Jared. So a couple of quick reminders. If you have any questions, use your chat box. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I did want to mention you will receive a follow-up email a little bit later today with a link to the webinar recording. So if you'd like to refer back to it or share it with someone who might be interested, or if, for example, you don't have a chance to jot down the phone number in front of you, again, you'll have that in your email a little bit later today. It's the GoToWebinar email, thanks for attending, or we're sorry we missed you. In either case, in the body of the email is the link. And there is a post-webinar survey. Feel free to let us know how we did. We do always look forward to hearing from you. And so a few questions here. One is, does ServiceTitan integrate with accounting software?
Sure, absolutely. I'll take that one with you. We are made to very simply and seamlessly integrate with QuickBooks and Sage for accounting.
All right. And I know you went through it, but could you mention once again what forms of payment can ServiceTitan process when out in the field?
Yeah, absolutely. We can take debit or credit cards. We can process cash, of course, which is secure. We can also swipe credit cards or take pictures of most credit cards to process those. And lastly, we can take in mobile deposit checks.
All right. And then another question that came in is, can we use accrual funds to access ServiceTitan?
Yes, absolutely. That's the one of the greatest perks that I've seen is being able to use the accrual funds to pay for service. I think that says a whole lot about the relationship between Daikin and ServiceTitan, of what Daikin sees ServiceTitan be able to do for the businesses and the growth that we experience and how that's going to impact it.
Perfect. And then I have a question from someone with Goodman, and that is the relationship just for the DCP dealers, or is it available for Private Label Plus or Goodman dealers as well? And
we'll let Nick Turner handle that.
Okay. And if that's something we want to do offline, we can do that. Just figured I would ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah, we can chat offline about that too. The relationship, is currently with Daikin, but talks with Goodman are happening as well. We actually have a webinar next week on that as well. So.
All right, perfect. And Rob, if you need the link to that webinar, let me know. And okay, so those are the questions that I have at this point in time. Is there anything that you all would like to say in closing?
I want to add to forms of payment. Obviously, we do the financing, so we have 2 ways of doing financing through ServiceTitan, and that all gets processed through the mobile app as well.
All right, perfect. Well, my thanks to your team for joining us today and bringing us this presentation. Very interesting information. Hopefully folks got a lot out of it. So Jared, Serena, and Nick, thank you so much. And for everyone who took time out of your busy schedule, whether you're here live now or later on the recording, we appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you on another webinar soon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye-bye.